Right, so today we're going to be talking about the Lost Metal, which is the fourth and final book in Mistborn Era 2. And I think for I think to give like your to give like a brief kind of opinion on this book overall, I think this is. I will obviously start this video by saying this is the best book in Mistborn Era 2. Quite easily, it's the best book in Mistborn Era 2. It's like there's no real competition. I think most of that is down to, having just more pages than the rest of the book. Every other Mistborn Era 2 book, every other Wax and Wane book has felt like it's been hurtling towards the finish line. Every other Wax and Wane book has felt like an action movie. And this one is still that. It still has a lot of action sequences in it. It still is very much like the action is the focus, and especially when you get into the latter half, there's pretty much no let up. What this is really good at, where I feel like the previous three weren't, is the character moments and making you feel for characters, especially ones that hadn't got the spotlight before. So it was really cool to see Steris get her moments and to like give her character more to do than just be like Wax's love interest. It was great to make Wane central to the plot and make him as important as Wax, if not, to give a slight spoiler, more important than Wax. And I kind of knew that from the start, where like the epilogue was a little bit of Wane's backstory instead of these epilogues that are that were Wax's. I really liked that. I really liked that. Obviously, this book is one of the big, like, we're getting into the weeds of the Cosmere now, and I feel like this is the start of, we're now going to start seeing that we're now getting into the end game, boys. Or we're getting to the point where it's not just going to be, oh, Hoyd's going to be showing up in this, that, and the other. This and greatly expounded more in Wind and Truth, and from what I've heard of Isles of the Emberdark, I haven't read that yet, but I plan to get to it, if not before the end of the year, very early next year. I plan to get to it before Brandon Sanderson puts out another thing. But with this, Wind and Truth and Isles of the Emberdark, it's definitely like things are going to start converging. Things are going to start coming together, and this is the first one. Or this is the only one. There's like introducing us to the Ghost Bloods. I feel like this is definitely like I don't know like the timeline of things, but in this you get more information on the Ghost Bloods, and it's definitely an explanation as to why the next Mistborn trilogy or the next Mistborn series is going to be called Ghostbloods and going to be centered around those characters, because it is very intrinsically a Mistborn thing that just happens to be, also happens to be a big part of the Stormlight Archive as well. And this gives you more information on what that kind of organization, that group, is all about, more so than what you got in Stormlight Archive, in that they are kind of pretty much 100% antagonists. Here, I'm not quite sure what role they're going to play going forward. But I think it's more complicated than just straight up, these are going to be antagonists. But I think this is definitely, the most to chew on. This is definitely the most, there's just the most here of, and this doesn't work without the other 3 books, obviously, but the other 3 books being good action romps that, introduce a really good duo of characters, leads to this being a really great emotional, which I wasn't expecting. I'd been told that this was gonna have some gut punches in it, and so I was kind of expecting myself, but then, even with the Hero of Ages, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of get that this story isn't going to end with a happy ending for everyone. It kind of did, but the way that certain characters get their happy ending is still very emotional. But yeah, I don't know where this lands and where this takes it with... I know where this lands for me. Obviously, I need to think about it a bit more. It's going to be a few days before I start my next read, which I've decided. I didn't get very many or any comments on the actual video that I did, asking you guys to pick my next read, but I've had people reach out other places to say which one, and also it just makes sense for it to be Project Hail Mary because it is a standalone. So that's going to be my next read, and then I'll be getting into a new series, or I'll be getting into other series after that. But I need to chew on this a little bit more, and I need to let this live in my brain for a little bit more. But I think this definitely sits in my top 3 of Brandon Sanderson Cosmere stuff. This definitely sits in my top 3 of Cosmere stuff. It's probably Mistborn is the number 1. That's the GOAT. Oathbringer is my number 2, and then probably this. This is fighting the Way of Kings for me. And I know a lot of people are a lot of people have the Way of Kings as their number 1. The Way of Kings is really good. I feel like this is just more going on. The Way of Kings, obviously, obviously you need all of that time with Kaladin as to build him up. But this just, as a conclusion as well, we all know Brandon Sanderson is really good at a conclusion, and this is one of his best, where we have things that mirror the Raid. We have, we even have something that mirrors. We have things that mirror a lot of other things in this, especially towards the end. We have things that mirror Fallout. We have things that mirror The Raid. We have things that mirror even the ending of The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises, anyway. We have things that mirror the end of The Dark Knight Rises. And all in all, wrapped into this package, I'm trying really hard not to spoil this. Wrapped up into this neat little package. It's just so good, and it's so well done, and there is nothing really that I can say to fault this book, and this being such a good conclusion kind of raises the other three books. I still don't think, as a whole, Mistborn Era 2 is on the same level as Mistborn Era 1. I would say pacing wise, it's probably better because each book is shorter. And I basically got through the whole series in a month, or in just under 2 months, which is wild. But also they're skinny books, so that's neither here nor there. But I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed Wax and Wayne's story, and if I were to leave this video with one kind of hot take, I think Wax is a better protagonist than Vin. That is my one kind of hot take. I think the characters in this might be better, or might have just, hit me more than the characters in Mistborn. Or Era 1, anyway. But yeah, I think I've got to do some kind of Mistborn overall series ranking with both of them. I've got a video. I've got a few videos in the pipeline now. I'm gonna do. All right, quickly, because it is behind me. Just gonna grab these three. Very quickly, I'll do a series ranking on the four Wax and Wayne books, Mistborn Era 2. First off, I think the Bands of Mourning is probably my least favourite. It just deals with all the stuff that I am not as interested in. I don't find Wax's uncle that interesting of a character, and him being basically the main villain of this, and him being such a big part of this, I didn't find him that threatening. I didn't find him that engaging, really. And I think when he gets taken off the board for Wax's sister, that is a spoiler. I apologise. But when he gets taken off the board, I think the actual emotional element and that emotional beat of, instead of Wax having to deal with his uncle, which is something that we've seen before, Wax having to deal with his sister that he barely knows, that is more of a that actual kind of point of difference with this series, which we don't usually get, because there's a lot of things in media where it's the bloke's got an evil brother, the bloke's got an evil dad, or things like that. Very rarely is it the sister's evil. Very rarely is it that. That's one of my favourite things about this whole series. I'm going to put The Alloy of Law next, just because it is the thinnest. A lot of this is giving Wax excuses to come back. Miles 100 Lives is not a character, really. He's just an excuse to get action sequences in the book. I don't find him very much that engaging as a villain, and I feel like this is the book where Wayne was at his most annoying as well. It's just, this is integrating you back into the world of Scardrial, and introducing you to these new characters, and these are the characters that you'll be following, and one of them is annoying. So that was it. But overall, all of the things that I don't like about the series are things that I don't like. Pretty much all of it. I feel like Mistborn Era 2 as a whole is kind of the start of Brandon Sanderson going more into this MCU kind of sense of humor. Obviously less so, and I don't think it tarnishes the tone of the series and the tone of the books as much as it has had, especially phase 5 of the MCU. That being said, I do find those kind of tropes, and I do find it kind of leaning into what's the most I do find it leaning into what's the most obvious jokes that we can make here, and kind of trying to make the books too humorous than they're maybe meant to be. Also say Shadows of Self is probably my second to most favourite. It's just because I really liked the emotional elements. I really liked the twist at the end of this. I liked giving Wax a reason to not really see eye to eye with Harmony, with Sazed. Everything else, I feel like this book is the most pedal to the metal, foot on the gas book of the quadrilogy, or the quartet, as I've heard some people call book series of 4 in. This is the most action-packed, this is the most, start to finish, things happening from beginning to end. And almost the whole book of this reads like a Sanderlanche. The whole book of this reads like a Sanderlanche, and it's like a 500-page Sanderlanche, basically. But this book is the one that kind of goes full steam ahead from beginning to end, and has a really emotional twist at the end as well, that I really liked. And the more I think about this one, the more I like this one. And obviously my favourite is The Lost Metal, because of course it is, because it's the biggest, because it's the one, it's the chunkiest, because it's, and it's not even chunky, it's but it is the one that made me go oh, I care about these characters. I want to kind of slow down with this book. I don't want this to really be over. And, it's the coolest ending of all of them. I would even say it's cooler than, I would even say, I don't know, I think this might be a cooler ending than The Hero of Ages. This might be a cooler ending than The Hero of Ages for me. And it's it's cathartic because, spoiler for the Hero of Ages, it's cathartic because, and kind of spoiler for this as well, the main character survives at the end and gets his kind of, like, happy ending, essentially. And that's just nice to see. It's not really something that I'm used to, especially with the other, with every other book series that I've read. The main characters haven't had necessarily happy endings. Hero of Ages, Vin and Elend don't make it to the end. The Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, and in fact his whole party don't make it to the end. Wind and Truth, the Stormlight Archive, where that's left off is not looking good for our heroes. It's not looking good. But yeah, and then frickin' Eisenhorn, where that's ended off, or where that ended off, Eisenhorn wasn't looking great, was he? But yeah, it's nice to have a book end, or a series end with kind of a optimistic, hopeful light. Obviously, there is stuff in here that's like leading to there's something big coming. There's something that's obviously going to be more extrapolated in a further trilogy or in further books in the Cosmere. But there is an overwhelming sense of, there is still a sense of like, oh, I'm happy for Wax, and for a lot of the series, I couldn't say I was happy for Wax, but at the end of this, I'm like, I'm glad that Wax got his happy ending. I'm glad that Wax got to go home to his kids, to his wife, and, got to, stop being... He got to save the day and live to tell the tale. And sometimes that is just a nice ending to get. Obviously everything leading up to that is great, and there was some tears shed as well. But we won't talk about that. Instead, I will give the Lost Metal, and in turn, the entirety of Mistborn Era 2. If you've read Mistborn Era 1 and you're shaky on getting into Era 2 because you've heard that it's not as good, just remember, Mistborn Era 1, most of it is perfection. It's, and I'm saying this as it being the book series that made me be like, I want to be reading. The Witcher was like a catalyst for me, and Mistborn Era 1 was like the thing that was like, you're on this train, that was the ticket. Mistborn was the seatbelt, and, the Stormlight Archive was the conductor saying this train goes on forever. You don't get out. You don't leave this. Getting on that train, to be a bit sappy for a minute, getting on that train is probably one of the best decisions I could have made. Not only have I gotten into these worlds and these characters and, had these stories that years ago I would never have even been interested in. I would have, even like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been, oh, does it have superheroes in it? No, I'm not interested. But now, this is like my jam. This is like, yeah. I've I've got a thing now that's not comic books. Obviously, I'm still into that, but this is like a thing that's found me a community, and I'm really happy for that. And yeah, Mistborn Era 2. Read it, pick it up, buy it, go, ingest the story into your veins. It's not as good as Mistborn Era 1, but it's still very good. And there are some surprises, and these characters will get you invested. Yeah. I've been rambling for way longer than I probably should have, and most of this video has just been, I like this. Most of this video has just been, I like this book, you should read it. But yeah, if you're going to take anything from this video, take, I like this book, you should read it. Anyways, that is going to be it. And just remember, I like this book, you should read it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed. The next video that I do, I want to do a Mistborn Era 2 casting video for, like, if they ever get around to doing that. The worry that I have with that is whoever I pick is probably going to be 10 to 15 years older when they go round to it. And, there are, like, main characters in this. Like, I think Marassi is meant to be, like, 23 to 25. And Steris is meant to be, like, 28 to 29. So I would have to cast children so for that video, just hypothetically, it's like, what if they started production on a live action adaptation for the Alloy of Law tomorrow, or the day after that video came out? That would be the hypothetical situation. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Also, let me know in the comments what you think of Mistborn Era 2, especially what you think of The Lost Metal. Please do not put spoilers in the comments. I, for one, really liked it, as you guys know. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of the book. And let me know in the comments if you're excited for Mistborn Era 3. And the kind of potential or the promise of Mistborn sci-fi. The promise of science fiction Scadrial, of this world in a sci-fi setting. See you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Peace.